Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Full Send Half Mast podcast, episode number 124. Running just a little bit late today. I was having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I'm here. I've made it, and we're going to have a fun time talking about the greatest day in racing, Merry Motorsports Day. We've got a full recap of Monaco, the Indy 500, as well as the World 600 at Charlotte. And then I'll go over the point standings with some big changes and shakeups this week after the races. And then at the end of the podcast, I will be breaking down this weekend's races with NASCAR at Nashville, IMSA IndyCar at Detroit, and Formula One in Spain. Also, give you our bonehead of the week and driver of the week nominees for this week, and those polls will be out on after this podcast for you guys to vote on. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Also, um, announcement for the watch party. We'll have watch parties on that poll is out now for the month of June watch party for you guys to vote on. And whatever one wins, we will do that watch party with you guys here for the month of June. Also, this month is the month of Le Mans. The other third, or the final third of the Motorsports Triple Crown. So we'll be doing at least something for that. Maybe we'll do like the start or the finish of that for the watch party. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Definitely not do the whole thing. Maybe we'll do what we did with the Rolex. We'll do a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end, maybe a little bit in the middle. I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get a little bit closer. That's in a couple weeks. But fun stuff happening. Um, Also, I guess I do need to say it. This is actually our 1,000th video on the Dega Boys channel today. This podcast wraps it up at an even 1K. So it's a huge milestone. All the amount of work and time and effort put into making these videos and the production for everything every week. It's pretty crazy to see that we finally have crossed that 1,000 video mark on this channel. And hopefully another awesome 1,000 videos to come in the near future. Alrighty, let's talk about a little bit of news. Rumor mill in NASCAR that there is a potential that we might get an increase in horsepower on the Cup cars. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't put a lot of merit behind it. Not a lot of stock. I'm not buying that stock. If you get what I'm saying. How many times have we heard NASCAR over the last few years say we're gonna do more road course, more international races. We're gonna increase the horsepower, softer tires, this and that, new manufacturers, all this BS that they keep saying. Nothing ever happens, nothing ever changes. I just don't put a lot of stock in this horsepower deal being a real thing or to come to fruition. But I've been wrong before. You guys have definitely let me know when I've been wrong before. So this is some crow that I would definitely take and eat if it came to it. But I don't think we're gonna see more horsepower in these Cup cars. It needs to happen, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Honestly, I just want to see the Xfinity car become the Cup car with more horsepower, and then that's that. And then they have a safer car, better racing car, cooler looking car, just everything all wrapped into one. And then also we do have to announce that the number 27 of Kyle Kirkwood, the number 28 of Marcus Ericsson, and the number 90 of Callum Ilott have been disqualified from the Indy 500, losing all their points and their finishing positions for this weekend's Indy 500. And Marcus Ericsson was the one that finished P2. He gets disqualified, and that moves Malukas up to P2, moves Pat O'Ward up to P3 to close out your podium. Interesting, because imagine right here is what I was thinking with this penalty. Imagine if we would have had the Indy 500 champion and did all the pomp and circumstance with the wreath, with the milk drinking, the trophy celebration, all the pictures, and then to find out that he fails tech, loses the Indy 500 in that kind of way, and then it's the guy that finished second wins the Indy 500 the next day. Like, I'm glad that didn't happen. That would have been such a tragedy for the race. It would have been. I mean, there's just nothing worse than watching a race and then finding out the guy that won the race didn't actually win the race in post-race tech. It's devastating when that happens. I hate when that happens. You invest all this time, you've into this race, you've watched the outcome, you saw the cars across the finish line, and then to find out that. So thank goodness that didn't happen in the Indianapolis 500, the most prestigious race in the world. It would have left a really black eye or a sour taste in my mouth, knowing that a potential winner could have been disqualified and robbed of the Indy 500 and given to another driver post race, the next day. Um, I just not I wouldn't have been a fan of that. But they did get disqualified. Um, like I said, stripped of points, moved to the back of the grid. Um, and I didn't get all the specifics. I'm sure it's posted in our Discord if you guys want more information on that. If you guys want to get in depth with that, but that is the news that I was going to report. Alrighty, now let's review the races this weekend. We had Arca's Truck Xfinity Cup all at Charlotte for the World 600 weekend. IndyCar at Indy, and then F1 obviously at Monaco. Um, I'll just brush over the ARCA truck and Xfinity races for you guys because I really want to spend the bulk of our time talking about the Crown Jewel events this weekend. So, on Friday, the ARCA Series, the General Tire 150, Austin Green gets his first career win. I knew it was a matter. I knew this guy was gonna win something at some time. He's extremely talented. I've seen him do a lot of the TA2s, Trans Am stuff and have a lot of success. I remember when he made his debut last year at Coda in the Xfinity series, or maybe it was 2 years ago. I think he ran P6 or P7 in a Jordan Anderson racing car at Coda. I was extremely impressed with that. I think he backed it up with another great run somewhere else at another road course. Um, Maybe it was Sonoma or Watkins Glen, maybe. So I knew that he had the talent, but now for him to win in the ARCA car on an oval against some of the better guys that have been in that series, like Williams Wallace made a start. Also with Butterbean, who's had a lot of success this year. Lawless Allen in a Venerini car. It was pretty cool to see him get that win, and a cool story as well. I guess the biggest controversy here is, and I almost nominated him for Bonehead of the Week, and I feel like I probably should have, but there was a lot of other good options this week. But we got to talk about old Cletus McGeetus McFarland here on the restart, ends up spinning his tires and ends up collecting like half the field. The most ARCA moment you'll ever see with him spinning the wheels and then everybody just piling in on the restart. The absolute lack of brake awareness. It was like we had a whole half of a field full of Daniel Suarez's, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Yeah, it was just comical, absolutely comical. Poor Cletus, man. He was on the front row on the restart late in the race. Who knows what happens if he gets a good restart there? I think well, obviously it's a lack of experience. He hasn't really had an opportunity with on these restarts. His first time on like a mile and a half tile racetrack. Um, just got a little zealous on the gas and just absolutely whipped it around. Collected about 5, 6, 7, 8 cars. Spencer Gallagher came in, ARCA brake master. I mean, it was comical. That was a shining moment of the ARCA race. All right, and then on Friday we also had the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Corey Heim dominating victory. He got 4 wins in 11 races. Should have probably like 7 or 8 by this point with all the mistakes and all the bad luck that's happened to him so far this year. Just an absolute dominant driver in the Truck Series this year. They compared his stats at one point during the race with Kyle Busch through this amount of starts in their careers, and his numbers are like almost mirror image of Kyle Busch, but he's younger because Kyle Busch did it by the time he's 25, and he's done it by the time he's 22. It's pretty crazy. Uh, he had to earn this one a little bit for the most of the part. He had a little bit of trouble on the short runs on the restarts, and you could see Kyle Busch and Chastain and even Caden Honeycutt had a good run. Those are about your 4 best cars all day long. They were giving him some fits on some restarts, but it seemed like it just after a few laps, once the tire pressures built up, his car just took off on them long runs. He was untouchable. Opened up a massive gap by the end of the race. I mean, even through pit, the only way he was losing that race was with bad pit execution, which was not liable. It felt like in this race they were pretty much on top of it, that 11 team, or it was going to be like a late race caution and a big pile up, or maybe the short run car kind of bit him on one of those restarts. Just something like that was going to have to happen for him to lose this race, and nothing occurred like that. Rush Chastain had a pretty good run to finish P2. There wasn't a whole lot to this race. There wasn't a lot of wrecks or anything. Chandler Smith did wreck at one point. And who else did he collect? I'm trying to recall. I mean, anyway, regardless, it was a bad night. Ben Rhodes had troubles as well, went lap down. There was really no opportunity. Rajah tried to play the strategy game, stay out long to try and catch a yellow, never got the yellow he wanted. So there was some different things like that. But Corey Heim, dominant driver. Through I think he's like right now the all-time or in historically in the Truck Series, he's led more laps the first 7 races than anybody in the history of the Truck Series, which is mind-blowing with how long the Truck Series has been around and how the amount of dominant drivers and dominant teams we've had in the Truck Series. It's impressive what he's doing this season. We'll see if he can keep it up. All right, and then Saturday, the Xfinity Series, the Bet MGM 300. William Byron, best car all day, it looked like. Swept the stages, won the race, made a late pit call at the end, was able to move himself back up to the front because we had like 55 restarts at the end of that race with just caution after caution after caution. I could go into it and break down every caution for you, but quite frankly, I just don't really care or really want to waste your guys' time. But there was a ton of absolute cautions at the end, turned into a wreck fest. It looked like Zillich was going to have an opportunity to win there. I kind of disagree with the call that he made to take the outside on that late race restart. I think he should have. I think he should have took the bottom. That's what Byron did. He was really good on the bottom on restarts. I know on one restart he came from the 3rd row on the bottom all the way up to P2. I kind of think if he would have took the bottom in P3 where Byron took, maybe doesn't win still because Byron had the better tires on the outside. Maybe Byron still wins regardless, but I felt like that would have been a better option than trying to take the outside on that restart. It just wasn't working for anybody, especially on the inside of Allgaier. It's kind of funny because it feels like another race where Allgaier was in position to win or could have won, but late race cautions and race restarts end up costing him another win. Absolutely choked it. As Tom says, Denny Hamlin Jr. felt like another one of those moments for Allgaier this weekend, but yeah, William Byron does get the win on Saturday in the Xfinity Series. Alrighty, it's time. We got to get into it, man. We got to talk about what makes Merry Motorsports Day so fantastic. The last one that we're going to see for a while because Monaco is changing dates in the future. Which I agree with to an extent, right? I think to make this Triple Crown, F1's got to obviously be more attainable for drivers, which I don't think that's going to happen. But the other thing that they can do, if that's not going to happen, is they've got to spread the Monaco, Indy, and Le Mans races out 2 weeks apart from each other. And with that, like for Formula One, you can't have like an Indy car or a sports car race that day. You've got to have it just be the Monaco Grand Prix. And I think that should be 2 weeks before Indy. Then you run Indy on its normal Memorial Day weekend. And then 2 weeks later, which they do now, they have Le Mans. So you need to spread them out where it's within a 2 week frame between each race. So you could have had Monaco 2 weeks ago on May 11th, and then you obviously rounded out June 15th with Le Mans, 14th, 15th with Le Mans. Make it where all 3 races have their own independent weekend. Everybody can have their eyes tuned on each specific race. As much as I love Merry Motorsports Day and I love waking up early, like we did with the watch parties. Thank you guys again if you guys tuned into the watch parties this weekend. It was a lot of fun. We streamed all 3 races, had a blast, had an absolute good time watching them with you guys. But if Merry Motorsports Day is going to go, then it needs to be for the betterment of the Triple Crown. And I think that Monaco needs to move up 2 weeks on the schedule. All right, let's start with Monaco first, right? So, like I said, if you guys watch the Haters Guide, the most compelling, important qualifying session of the entire Formula One calendar, that happened on Saturday. Looked like Leclerc had the best car. He was fastest in all the free practices, and in qualifying, he missed the pole by a little bit to Lando Norris, which I knew at that moment the race was over. Lando was going to win. They instituted this year the 2-stop minimum mandatory strategy, basically, kind of a gimmick, but IndyCar does it. It's not really that big of a deal. I think it kind of helps the race in a sense. I guess how do we even get into it? Okay, this is where we should go. Mercedes botched qualifying, right? Antonelli hits the wall in the Nouvelle chicane. Russell has engine troubles, wasn't able to make a lap at qualifying. So Mercedes was starting behind the 8 ball to begin the race. Lap 1, Gabriel Bortoleto trying to make moves, trying to make passes. He ends up going to the outside of Kimi Antonelli, down the hill on the 180 down there. Before they get to the tunnel, he's to the outside. He ends up hitting the barrier. Virtual safety car comes out. This was the opportunity for Mercedes to pit right here, right then, right now. Even if you just pitted one of the cars, do something different. This was your opportunity to change the strategy. We saw Yuki try it. He didn't make up any ground, but at the time we did not know that that wasn't going to be an optimal strategy, right? But when you're starting that far down with Mercedes at a track you can't pass at anyway, why would we not take an alternate strategy or do something different to maybe flip the race or gain track position in some way, some facet during the race? That was my biggest confusion, my biggest misunderstanding. But then what makes it even worse is that Mercedes refused to pit twice. I mean, it was like the fact that they didn't pit at all in the two stop or mandatory, and they did not pit at all, just mind blowing. Like, this was Ferrari levels of just buffoonery right here. Like, how? How do you mess that up? I couldn't understand that. I think Liam Lawson deserves a big pat on the back or a big pay raise by RB, buy one get one free Cash App, Red Bull Racing Toro, Red Racing Bull Alpha Tori team. That's a tongue twister. Say that 5 times fast. He put on an absolute show. He was the race, right? After that VSC comes out, Hadjar had qualified really good. I think Hadjar qualified with P5, so he was in a good position to score points. Liam Lawson also had an opportunity to score points. Liam Lawson, I don't know if it was just his pace or if it was the strategy of the race by the team, but he parked the bus on half the field. He was running what, like 8th? He parked from 8th all the way back. He parked him behind him for, God, 30, 40 laps. I mean, he absolutely changed the race. That led to the race being only like 8 cars left on the lead lap by the end of the race. But what it did do is Ocon, Hadjar were in front of that train. And so he did it for his teammate Hadjar. Hadjar was able to pit twice and still stay above Lawson and that train of cars. Ocon was as well. They both secured really good points for Haas and the RB team, which was good. But then Lawson was still able to pit and still scored points. Insane. Insane what we witnessed by Liam Lawson this week. And that was so much fun to watch. Changed the whole complexion of the race. Poor Fernando Alonso looked like he was going to have an opportunity to score some points in this race. He had some mechanical failure, put him out of the race. He was kind of in that Ocon, Hadjar, Hamilton battle there that we saw with the gap being spread. But then the end of this race, we have Lando Norris being stuck behind Verstappen, pulling his whine baby, cry baby routine again. Because he's stuck behind Verstappen, who was doing a complete off strategy because he was like, still had to pit one more time. His best opportunity, I think he felt like, was maybe let's just sit back here, and let's just run it as long as we can. Maybe we'll catch a safety car. Maybe that'll give us an opportunity to gain position, maybe even win the race, which I like the call. I think it was justified, especially with the gap that was built there. He still was able to pit from the lead and still finish P4 behind the 2 McLarens and obviously Leclerc because he had built enough of a gap to Hamilton. So it worked out regardless. The worst case with that strategy was going to finish P4. Best case, maybe get a safety car and win the race. So I like that strategy. But Lando stuck behind him in the dirty air, in the aero wash, and a whole time just bitching and moaning and crying that he needs his teammates' help because Max is holding him up and he's just worried about Leclerc. It's just, what a bad look. He wins one of the most major races in the world, and here he is bitching, moaning, and whining while he's driving the best car on the grid from the lead. I mean, I don't like that. That was a bad look. Obviously, I don't like Lando Norris. I don't like McLaren, Zach Brown. And this is just another example of why I don't like him. Just a bunch of crybabies. Leclerc had a faster car, it felt like, behind Norris, just was never able to get close enough. That is what leads me to my next segment, next part of this is Monaco needs a change. We've had good races at Monaco. I mean, shoot, 2 years ago at Monaco was a good race when the rain came. But it feels like the only way we're getting a good race at Monaco is if it's weather related or weather involved, whether we get a rainstorm or whatever that hits the track at a certain part of the race or during the race, whatever it may be. Other than that, in the dry, Monaco is just not a good race. We haven't had a lot of opportunity for passing. It's just the cars are too wide, the track's too narrow. It's a big problem. It turns into a big train. I guess my idea or thought process here, the one way to fix Monaco, people are saying, oh, we need to build on top of the marina. We need to widen out the Nouvelle Chicane. I think personally we need to just remove the Nouvelle Chicane. Remove the Nouvelle Chicane and make it from the exit before we get to the tunnel, the exit of that corner before the tunnel, all the way to the next corner. We just go straight through the Nouvelle Chicane. Turn that into a DRS zone. It's wide enough in there where you could actually use the DRS to make passes. I think it would make the track so much better. We don't need the Nouvelle Chicane at all. I think we remove the Nouvelle Chicane, make that a DRS zone under the tunnel. I think that would make the racing so much better. I mean, it's kind of unnecessary to have it anyway. We have enough spots on the track where we have heavy braking. We have a second chicane even. After the Nouvelle Chicane, they have that little left-hander, and they go back into another little chicane. So I don't understand why you need both those chicanes. Why not just take out the Nouvelle Chicane, leave the second chicane, and then you've also got the switchback there, pit entry or the pit entry area, and then you also have turn 1, which is a hard navigating turn, and then obviously you have the roundabout and then the turn before the tunnel. So you still got some intricate turns, intricate places, but then it allows you to have one really solid passing zone or an opportunity to get close enough to use the other chicane or the final corners to be able to make a pass. That is the fix to Monaco. That is the solution. And if that doesn't happen, I don't know how else to fix Monaco unless we find a way to go back to smaller cars, or we can artificially make it rain every year. Get the whatever they call them, the chemtrails or whatever, start mixing the weather up, or satellites, or however the government does it, I feel like that's the only way to really kind of fix Monaco. Overall, I thought it was a fun race. I mean, with the 2-stop mandatory made it interesting. Watching Lawson back up the field was fun to watch. Watching Mercedes absolutely just shit down their leg was fun to watch. And then it was funny to listen to Lando bitch and moan and whine and cry at the end. So overall, I'd say it was a decent race. It was a mid F1 race. It wasn't the best. Wasn't the worst either. I mean, it's been a great F1 season. It's just kind of a crying shame that the best or the most marquee event of the year is always kind of the most not so good race of the year, I guess. I guess that would be my biggest complaint, but that was fun, which led into Indy. And by God, this was probably one of the most insane, crazy, wild Indy 500s I've ever seen. I remember last year thinking, wow, this race is freaking fun for different reasons, right? Because we had so many passes and battles for the leads. We had guys passing through the grass and amazing saves and big wrecks, like just a lot of chaos last year. A great battle for the finish. That made it fun and interesting. But this one was great for all the other reasons. It was the most dramatic roller coaster ride of emotions you could possibly go through. With rain delayed at the beginning, with sprinkles, we got the whole Kyle Larson drama. Is he going to be able to finish this race? Is he going to have to get out? Is Tony Kanaan getting in? Is he going to start the race, park it midway? Is he going to have enough time to get to Charlotte? Blah, blah, blah. All these storylines were building up during that rain delay. Finally get the race started. Larson's still in the car. And then on the cooldown lap, boom, Scott McLaughlin hits the inside wall. One of the most heartbreaking, devastating moments. I personally am a big McLaughlin fan. I think he's a hell of a driver, exceptional driver. Some of the stuff he's done in V8 supercars and GT3 cars and what he's able to do in these Indy cars is just fascinating to me. I think he's an amazing driver. I think he's probably one of the top 3 street course drivers in IndyCar at the moment. Super talented race car driver. Had a really fast car for Indy. I think he was one of the favorites. Crashes in the Yellow Submarine on the cooldown lap. It was absolutely devastating. I'm still broken about it. It sucks. I think 2026 is the redemption tour for Scott McLaughlin after what happened at the Indy 500. But not only that, during the safety lap, you see Dixon having brake issues. They have to replace the rear brake calipers, the whole brake assembly during the race at the beginning because his brakes are having issues. So that takes out like 2 of your heavy favorites on the first lap. Then we get green on lap 4, and Marco Andretti, 3 wide to the outside of the 2 dry Red Bull cars. He ends up going and crashing into the wall. His Indy 500 ends. Another crazy story. Then Herta, first round of pit stops, gets a speeding penalty. He gets put a lap down. His race is over. So we're just losing favorite after favorite after favorite here. Then Hung Money's it. Kyle Larson. Absolutely, on that restart, absolutely just I don't know what he was doing. He was in the dirty air, trying to avoid the guys in front of him. Not 100% sure on that. He goes around sideways, collects poor Kiffin Simpson and Stingray Rob, which Stingray Rob takes an absolutely violent hit into the wall. Um, that was one of the hardest hits into like one of those attenuators I've ever seen. It was just insane. I mean, it was insane. He hit the water barrels like, extremely hard. I'm glad he's okay. Ruined all their races. VK, who started on the last row. The storyline coming in was the Penske cars with Newgarden and Power coming from the back row, trying to win the Indy 500 from the back row, trying to become legends. Well, VK, on an alternate strategy, was up to like fifth or sixth during the race. It was unbelievable in a freaking Dale Coyne car from the back row. I mean, it was an insane storyline building there, the drama. He ends up wrecking, coming down pit lane, ended his race. Absolute tragedy. Then you had VK, obviously. And then Rossi comes in to make a routine pit stop. You see the gas splash out of the nozzle all over the car, and you're not thinking anything of it. And then all of a sudden, it just ignites. Invisible fire, flames, invisible fire on the crew member. It pulls off one of the most insanely impressive moves with the turning of the extinguisher and hitting his own hands and putting himself out, which was super impressive. The other guy was trying to pat down his hands because he was on fire. I'm sure he had invisible fire up on his suit. He left it on, thank goodness, because he pulls that off, then boom, he's going up in flames even more, and that's where you get the burns and everything. So hopefully he's okay. I heard that he is okay. But that was just insane just to see a car catch on fire in the pit lane. And then Schwartzman, with his pit road crash, comes on the brakes. Your pole sitter, underdog story. It was a cool story. Didn't think he really had a chance to win. He lost track position early. But comes in on the pit sequence, locks up the brakes, slides through his box, hits his crew member. I think it messed up his ankle. You could see it on the replay. He trapped the ankle between the wall and the tire. I know they carted him off. I heard that he was okay as well. Maybe a little bit of ankle injury, which looked like it. I called it pretty much live when we're doing the watch party. I mean, just insanity after insanity. And then Newgarden looking for his three-peat. He started in the back row. He had finally gotten to the point where he was up to like P5 or P6. So it was like, holy cow, Newgarden can actually pull this off. This might actually happen. And then he has engine issues and he's out of the race and he's done. It was just insane. I think we had 12 guys finish on the lead lap after the DQs, after all the wrecks and everything that happened. But the end of this race, the final state, it looked like David Malukas was going to win this race. Absolutely looked like it was his race. It looked like they executed that final pit sequence correctly. He had an extremely fast race car. I think he was one of the top 4 cars all day. Cooter was as well. Cooter, they messed up their strategy big time. He got too zealous on the second to last stint, got way out ahead, burnt his car basically ruined his equipment, had nothing left, was fading, had to make a pit stop too early, lost all his track position, was not a factor at the end, so that kind of stinks for Cooter. Knew it wasn't going to happen. The odds of Cooter winning the Indy 500 were like 1 in a million, so save those pants if you guys watching the watch party. But then Malukas looks like he's going to win the race off of pit road. Looks like he's going to have it. Does. Then Palou passes him shortly after the pit sequence, after he had got in front of Palou through the pit sequence. And then you see Ericsson on an alt strategy. He ends up becoming the new leader at the end of the race. It looks like he's going to win the Indy 500. And then when 14 to go, we got the lap traffic in front of Ericsson. And Ericsson's in prime position to win this race. He can use the lap traffic with the tow. Palou was complaining that he might be short on fuel. Didn't know how that was going to play out. Well, he got a big run off of 4, had his opportunity at 14 to go. He takes the lead from Ericsson, and then used shades of what Elio did to him a couple years ago by running behind the lap traffic and pinning Palou behind him. He does the same thing this year to Ericsson to win the Indy 500. I said it all month long. I said Alex Palou was going to win the Indy 500. He did just that. Fulfilled destiny. Career drive, career year for Alex Palou. He's on track to become one of the greatest drivers of all time. I already think he's in that conversation as greatest driver in the world. I think he's right up there with Max Verstappen. I'll still put Larson in the top 5. Not the greatest, but I'll put him in the top 5 just with the diverse amount of things he can drive in and win. Um, but Alex Plo is a generational talent, another level, un un uncomparable. Like some people, oh man, excuse me. Some people want to like put the comparisons like we kind of do it sometimes here on this channel to Scott Dixon, right? Scott Dixon's the GOAT. Um, a lot of comparisons with him, both driving for Ganassi. Um, I honestly think that Alex Palou is the GOAT. I think he's even better than Prime Dixon, which I don't get me wrong, I think Dixon is fantastic and he is still wheeling and dealing with his length of his career. But what Alex Palou has been able to do, we haven't seen a season this dominant in a long time. I think it was what 1970 something with Foyt. So Alex Palou has won what 5 of the first 6 races. The record for the wins in a season was I think Foyt won 11 of 17 races in that one year that he dominated. I don't know, man. Could Palou win more than that? It looks like he's got the oval down. Um, if he can win maybe another 2 more ovals, and if he could take care of all the other road and street courses, man, Palou is gonna do it. I mean, he could do it. It's absolutely insane. Um, we do have to look at the point standings here. 1 second before I get more wrapped up into the Indy 500, but Palou is now 112 points over Pato Ward, and then 125 points over Christian Lundgaard. I think I saw those adding the points up, but Palou is further away from Pato Award second place in points than Pato is above the 20th place driver in points. That is insane. This is the most dominant IndyCar season I think in when it's all said and done in history, especially because it's in the modern era where the cars are all spec, everything is so much closer than it's ever been. Um, it's absolutely unbelievable. He is just an extreme talent. Uh, Me and Tom called it. I mean, we've been saying it forever that this was Alex Palou's race to win. Um, I think here in a couple of years he's going to finally get that 24-hour Le Mans win. And with all the rumors and everything, it looks like the window or the door is closed for him to ever get to F1. I hope it happens. I would love to see him in a good car with an opportunity to race head to head against Max Verstappen, who is also in a good car for a world title. I think that would be one of the most anticipated, hyped up world championship battles of all time. The Spaniard versus the Dutchman. I mean, like it would just be absolutely freaking insane. The amount of publicity it would have here in the United States with all the IndyCar fandom and passion that comes into IndyCar. Then the world champion or reliably probably the best driver in the world being head to head on the same track week after week after week in a Formula One world title fight would be absolutely bananas. And I would be here to see that any day, anytime. Um, I mean, like I said, this is just one of the wildest Indy 500s. I mean, it was like every twist and turn imaginable. I think I said it during the watch party. It's like even a WWE script writer could not write a script better than this. This was the most unpredictable. What will happen next? Just absolute thrill ride from start to finish. Great racing all day long. Lots of passing. The cars were extremely fast. The track temperatures were lower than they had been all week, all month long. The overcast like clouds in the sky just kind of changed the way the race played out. It was just fun. And big shout out to David Malukas as well. I'm gonna give him a nominee for driver of the week with the P2 finish that he had this weekend. I thought it was fantastic. I thought he did a great job. It looked like little Dave was gonna finally win the Indy 500, especially after last year not being in the race with the whole McLaren drama, BS bullshit with the whole injury on his bike training, and then losing his ride with McLaren and getting basically his entire career with the reset, having to go to AJ Foyt. Um, it was just insane. I think you put him in he's gonna win an Indy 500 one of these years, man. And once he finally gets into a great equipment, it's gonna be awesome to see. Also, Santino Ferrucci in his 7th Indy 500, he's finished all 7 Indy 500s, all 1,100 laps. Insane, insane. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. He's all 1,200 laps in his 7 Indy or was it 14? No, 1,400 laps in his 7 Indy 500s. All of them in the top 10. I mean, it's just insane what Santino with the Indy magic, man. It's just insane. Also, Will Power did, I think, finish in the top 10 there at the end. He did finally get off that back row. Um, it would have been cool to see Newgarden not have that engine issue. It would have been interesting to see if he was going to be able to work his way up to the front of the field and battle for a three-peat. Elio was also in the top 10 at the end. Poor Takuma Sato, we got to talk about that with the bad pit stop. He was the most dominant guy at the beginning of the race. He led the most laps in the race. It looked like he was going to win it. And then, unfortunately, had that speeding or that pit road issue, lost all his track position, was never able to recover. He did get back into the top 10 by the end, which is a cool story for him. In the chat, we got Ferrucci is like Austin Hill on super speedways at Indy. It's insane, man. Like little Santina, man. I mean, he could definitely fly, man, around Indy. He could fly at Toronto and he could fly at Tulsa, but he definitely could fly at Indy too in another way. It was impressive. It's just every year. I mean, at this point, you could almost just count him in as a top 10 driver in Indy every year. I mean, if you're a betting person and you want to make a quick buck, put money on Ferrucci at Indy. I feel like that is just a guarantee at this point. Fantastic race. Absolutely fantastic. I'm still buzzing from it, man. Like, I've went and rewatched the highlights. I've went and watched a lot of post-race interviews and everything with Alex Blow, and I don't think there could be a better ambassador and better superstar for IndyCar than Alex Blow right now. I think he's so humble, down to earth, well-spoken, doesn't have a lot of the drama or any of the BS that follows or lingers him around. He just keeps his head down, goes to work, puts in a lot of effort to be really good at his craft. Townsend Bell says it all the time. He's the surgeon, man. He is so meticulous. All the details in racing. Him and Barry Wanzer are just like a match made in heaven. Like, he's like probably the best engineer in modern day IndyCar. I mean, he's unfreaking believable. Him and Pelot together is just like unstoppable. It's literally like Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson all over again. It is just unfreaking believable what those two guys could do together. And seeing him represent IndyCar for the time being, I've got no problems with it. I think he's a great ambassador for the sport. It's so cool to see, man. I just love it. I want to see him run more sports car races. I want him to get more crown jewel events and wins, and especially when Ganassi brings their program back for the IMSA series here soon. I'd love to see him get some more endurance race wins, or maybe even get some more chances at Le Mans. I think that'd be awesome. I think it'd be super fun to see Alex Blow continue to diversify his racing abilities across the planet. So awesome race. All right, we do got to talk about the Cup Series, the Coke 600. Old Hung Money from the lead ends up wrecking out early. Old Hung Money. Just an awful week for Larson. Let's just talk about that. I mean, this was the most hyped up, anticipated event for the last 2 years, and just nothing to show for it. He stepped on it last year in the Indy 500 with the bad restart and then the speeding penalty, and then didn't even get to run in the Coke 600 because of weather. And then this year, wrecks 3 cars in Indy, and goes to the 600 and wrecks his car twice there. I mean, just this Prime documentary, I am extremely interested in when they get this put out and put together, because I want to watch it, because I think it's going to be the biggest told story. I don't know how to even describe it. It's just going to be one of those stories that you just want to watch just to see how. I mean, I feel like where the week all fell apart was that first crash he had in the month of May, or I guess it was in testing in April, when he hit the wall with the right side. I felt like that's when the whole thing kind of fell apart. And then obviously on race day, the look in his eyes as he's sitting on the grid and the rain's coming down, that right there was the image that told 1,000 stories. I felt like the whole weekend was just a wash at that point for him. He wasn't going to finish the Indy 500. No, even if he doesn't wreck there when he did in the Indy 500, he was never going to make it to the end of that race. It just wasn't going to happen. He was going to have to park it and go to Charlotte because of the NASCAR rule. And then goes there trying with a chip on his shoulder, wanting to prove a point in the Cup Series, and absolutely hung monies it. Destroys the toe link. They do get the car fixed, but it does come unraveled later when old Daniel Suarez, which we'll talk about here in a minute, dumbass. But yeah, and then Alex Bowman, obviously, he was running in the top 10 when he did kind of the same thing Hung Money did. Jimmy Johnson did the same thing. He collected Zillage, which was kind of funny. Uh, Johnson and Zilich wrecking. I mean, that's going to be a memory we'll remember forever. Connor Zilich and Jimmy Johnson in his 700th Cup start. Zilich in his second Cup start wrecking together off of turn 4. And then Suarez. Let's talk about freaking Daniel Suarez, man. He ends up trying to clear himself off of Briscoe and Blaney. Kind of ran Briscoe and Blaney out of room. They both make contact, and then obviously turns down, collects Daniel Suarez. And then Suarez. I said this at Coda. This man cannot hold a fucking brake pedal down. It is absolutely infuriating. That wreck should never have been as big as it was at all. He ends up collecting Larson, and then, excuse me, I'm not sure who else was involved in that, right? It doesn't even matter. He shouldn't even have been involved. I mean, the fact that he just absolutely hits the outside wall and then just lets it roll all the way down the front straightaway, doesn't hold the brake pedal. I mean, this is twice Daniel Suarez has done this year. Twice. Once at Coda and took out his teammate in the process of not holding his brake, and then does it again here at Charlotte and collects like 3 extra cars that didn't even need to be involved in that wreck. Just stupid. Daniel Suarez is a freaking fraud and a hack, man. I'm telling you, if Zilich isn't in that 99 car next year, I'm going to be pissed because Zilich deserves it way over freaking Daniel Suarez. I know everybody's going to be like, well, Zilich don't have the experience. Oh, no, blah, 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 blah. Well, shut the hell up, dude. There's like 6 road courses on the freaking schedule, dude. He can win one at least once a year, dude, like until he figures the ovals out. And he is figuring the ovals out. Look at his qualifying speed. At every oval he goes to, he qualifies at the front of the freaking field in every Xfinity race. You're telling me he can't do that in the Cup Series after a year and a half, 2 years of experience? Trust me, dude. Zilich is a talent, bro. But yeah, freaking Daniel Suarez is a fraud, an absolute hack. I'm going to nominate him for Bonehead of the Week. It's just absolutely ridiculous what he did. Also, Byron dominated the race, won all the stages, looked like he had the best car. Hamlin was able to battle with him for a little bit. The problem with this race for me, I think it was a great, not a great race. I'll say it was a good race. It was a decent race, right? But it felt a lot like Monaco. It just felt like we were in a train the whole time. And everybody's ranting and raving over how good Amazon did as a broadcast. I think the broadcast was okay. It wasn't like groundbreaking, best freaking broadcast I've ever seen in the world, right? My problem with this race is we focused so damn much on the leaders that made the race feel like it was never any passing. I know there was one time on a restart when we're doing the watch party and they're running, 3-4 wide behind the leaders, and they're focusing on the leaders instead of watching the 3-4 wide battle behind them. Why are we doing that? That has been a Fox problem forever, and it sucks that Amazon had to do the same thing. It's like the way they broadcast these races, it's just all the same. It's all the same. I mean, it's just absolutely freaking ridiculous, man. It's just a terrible look. Whatever. But other than that, I mean, it was decent. I would have liked to see more battles within the field. You know, I just felt like it was just focused the whole time so much on the leaders. Poor Hocevar, man. Host and Carcevar just absolutely got screwed. I think he had the best car at the end of that race. I think he was going to win his first Cup race this weekend. I thought it was going to happen. I pretty much was. I swore it was going to happen, man. He had an amazing restart. It looked like he was going to clear the outside line. He was going to take off with the lead there. And then unfortunately, he blew his engine and absolutely scattered it. I hope it's not his last chance during the regular season to have a chance to be competitive again and run up front and go for wins. He's got the speed. He's got the talent. I kind of wish earlier in the race when he was battling there with Hamlin and Byron, kept trying to get to the inside of both of those guys, trying to make the pass. I would have liked to see him just get a little bit more rough with those boys. You know, I wanted to see the host in Carcevar that I like to watch. You know, the one that's going to ruffle some feathers, the one that's going to maybe use you up a little bit. You know, and I don't know. Maybe it was too early in the race to do something like that, which granted it probably was, but I just want to see that fire, man. I want to see that drive because if you rein him back, he's just not going to be competitive. He's got to be full tilt, full bore all the time, and that's what I like about him. So that was devastating, heartbreaking to see that happen to him. To not be able to get his first career win in the World 600, just that's devastating. At the end of this race was a lot of botches and failures. We had Reddick with a speeding penalty, took him completely out of contention. He ran basically top 5 all day. Denny Hamlin on the final pit stop. How do you fuck this up? They end up not putting enough fuel in the race car, so he has to make another pit stop late in the race. Took him out of contention. And it looked like Byron was going to win this race until he got to lap traffic. And all day long, it looked like Byron's car just wasn't that great in traffic. The worst he ever fell down to was P2 when he was battling like Hamlin. Uh, but it just seemed like when he got to that traffic, he got too tight at the end of the race and was unable to really keep the pace. And then Chastain, they made an absolute fantastic freaking adjustment on that final pit stop. They planned out the stop perfectly. I feel like they hit the time of that sequence perfectly, where they didn't lose enough track position. It was a little bit of an overcut. I thought it worked out perfectly. He was able to run down Hamlin, and then Hamlin obviously had a pit, and then he was able to run down uh, Byron, and then pass him with 9 to go. And Chastain, the watermelon man, he gets it done. Wins the World 600. Awesome burnout. The watermelon smash. It was a little sus though with him letting fans grab at his watermelon and then him eating it, and then it was just kind of cringe to me. I know he talked about in his post race or in the press center at the end of the race saying like, "Oh, I don't think really anything matters when you win the World 600. You win a cup race, you just kind of do things." I'm just like, I don't know, man. That's a little cringe. I don't know if I would have done that. That's kind of gross, bro. But other than that, I thought it was fun and entertaining. The post race show was good. That's one thing I'll give Amazon credit for. The pre race post race show, I thought they did a good job. I mean, uh, Fox with their pre-race show, it's just so bland and it's the same talking points. They regurgitate the same bullshit and it's really short. And then they don't do any post-race show really at all. They do a couple interviews and then they talk for like 5 minutes and they're off air. With Prime, they actually had like a whole 1 hour post-race show. The interview with Chastain and Justin Marks at the end with them drinking beer on the stage was kind of cool. I enjoyed that. So big props at Prime for that. I think it'll be better just depending on certain tracks I go to. My biggest gripe was just the fact that we missed some good side by side battles, and we focused too much on the lead. If we could fix those two things, I think Prime is on to something here. That I thought it was cool too. At the end of the race, with like 80 to go, they came over the screen and said, "Hey, uh, nonstop racing action till the checkered." And so it was like no commercials for the last like 80 laps. That was freaking awesome, man. Like, when do you get that in racing anymore? That was freaking mint, dude. And then all side by side commercials. They took it so seriously that they even had side by side during the red flag condition when they did the honor and salute and remembering, which I was like, man, they're committed if they're doing it during this. I mean, so I think as a positive, I think the booth was good. I think Adam Alexander kind of had a little bit of a biffed night. I don't think he was on his A game. Uh, him with McMurray and Kligerman is like mint, so it's like I would like to see him get kind of to that atmosphere, but I don't think Junior and Letard are really that animated like Parker and Jamie get. So um, maybe I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes when we get deeper into the season. Um, but standings in the Cup Series: Byron's your new points hitter, 499. He's 29 above Larson, and then 74 above Bell. Alrighty. Drivers of the week: David Malukas, P2 in the IndyCar race, or the Indy 500. Isaac Hadjar, P6 in the F1 Monaco Grand Prix, which was a fantastic race. I think you give a lot of credit to his teammate, Liam Lawson. And then AJ Allmendinger, P4 in the Cup Series race. He ran top 10 all day, was a factor late, was never really the best car. He's about anywhere from a 5th to 8th place car, but he did capitalize and get a 4th place finish at the end with everybody else having their issues around him. That was a good run for him. Alrighty. Now, and then Boneheads of the week. I forgot that. We got to cover that real quick. Kyle Larson, hung money. I feel like that's all you need to say for both IndyCar and Cup this weekend. Scott McLaughlin, formation lap crash. You just made a mistake. Took him out of the Indy 500. And then Daniel Suarez can't hold a freaking brake pedal down, man. And there was some other good ones too for Bonehead of the week. Like we could have put old Cletus McKeetus in there. I mean, there's a few things, but I feel like that's fitting. Cover those races there for the Bonehead. Fox, take notes on how to broadcast. Factual. Fox. It's when you actually see a good broadcast or like at least one that like I would rate this broadcast like an 8 out of 10. Like I said, there's a few things I would have changed, but Fox is like they're lucky if they peak at like a 2 out of 10 every week. I mean, it's bad. All right, let's do it. Let's preview this weekend's races. We got another onslaught of races this weekend to cover. We've got the Trucks Xfinity Cup at Nashville. We got IMSA, the IndyCar Series, and the NXT Series at Detroit, which is becoming one of my favorite weekends of the year. I love the Detroit Street Course. I think it's such a fun race. And then obviously Formula One at Spain, Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. All right, notable entries in the truck series. We've got William Swalich with Tricon in the 1. KFB and Corey Day will both be Inspire trucks. And then Luke Fenhouse back with Thor Sport this weekend. In the Xfinity, we got Ross Chastain in the 9 for Junior Motorsports. Corey Day doing double duty. He'll be in the Xfinity Series for HMS in the 17. Eric Almirola's back in the number 19 for JGR. And then Myatt Snyder making another one of these one-off starts with DGM this weekend in the 91. Cup Series, JJ Yaley with NY in the 44. Fincham with MBM in the 66. And then Corey Heim making another Cup start for 2311. And then in IMSA, we have Parker Thompson and Monte Calvo. They will both be splitting the number 15 second entry for Vassar Sullivan this weekend at Detroit. Tim Henderson says, I still want my rolling ticker, though. I do like the rolling ticker. Actually, I like the one that CW has. I think that's the ideal ticker. Battle box on the bottom shows like 4 cars in each little 5 grids that they got there. And I think that works out really well. But I think the rolling ticker would be cool to have back again. I think the rolling ticker is fun. I mean, especially when you're like got a long green flag run, just run the rolling ticker and then maybe do like a small battle box for like the top 3 or top 5 or something like that. I think that would work out too. So run the rolling ticker plus like the little 5 battle box like on the top or the bottom or something. I think that'd be cool. So then you can see the intervals between like the top 5 and where they're at. Alrighty. Or you could even change it too. It doesn't even have to be a top 3 or top 5 the whole time. You could like say you're focusing on the battle for like 20th, and there's like 4 cars battling, and you could put like the ticker there for like 18 through 20 or something, or 22 or something like that as well. So you could change it up. I think that'd be kind of cool. Alrighty. Now, for the truck series on Friday, the Rackley Roofing 200, I'm going to go with the guy that has just been dominating the season. I don't think there's anybody else you pick at this point in the truck series. Like I said, this guy should have 7, 8 wins out of the 11 races so far. He only has 4 with all of the pit road mistakes, late race cautions, the wrecks or crashes that he's had or getting wrecked. I think he is going to set the single season lap leading record in the truck series this year. Through 11 races, he's the most in history so far, and I think that trend continues. I think he continues to lead more laps, and I think he does it from the front of the field. Corey Heim for the win this weekend. My dark horse, I'm going with Caden Honeycutt again. He is this freaking close to winning a race. It's not will he win one at this point. It's when will he win one. He is that freaking close. It looked like he had a chance at Charlotte. He was one of the top 4 trucks in that race. Had a couple chances at Heim on some of those restarts, but obviously Heim just had the best truck. It would have been cool to see him maybe get the first win at Charlotte. That would have been a big moment, but I think his day is coming. Why not this weekend at Nashville? I think this is a great opportunity. Nice has had great runs at Nashville in the past. I think this is a track that fits that team, and it's a matter of time. Nice is just getting faster and faster and faster. All right, now for the Tennessee Lottery 250 Xfinity Series race on Saturday. I'm going to take Ross Chastain in the Junior Motorsports number 9. I think he wins this race. I think he does it in pretty dominating fashion. I think Nashville's like, again, one of those tracks that Ross Chastain is just that good at. He's won there in the Cup Series in the past. He was really good there last year in the Cup race and before like Hamlin passed him, and then we had like the 18,000 overtime finishes. I think that in the Xfinity car with a good team like Junior Motorsports, I think Ross Chastain is the man to beat this weekend. I think it's gonna be a lot of interesting strategy. Way the stages lay out in Nashville. I think you're gonna see maybe Almirola be in the mix as well up at the front. Obviously, I think Allgaier will be up there. It'll be interesting if Zilich is up there as well. Maybe even Carson Kvapil. I think he might have an opportunity to run up front. Maybe a Brandon Jones. We'll see. I think that's kind of your mix up at the front. And then my dark horse, I'm going to go with Ryan Sieg this weekend. Part of me wanted to take old Parker Retzloff this weekend, but then again, I know he races for Alpha Prime, and I just, it's hard to take him. I would love to see him be a competitor in the top 10, but I think Sieg is that guy this weekend. All right, and then Saturday, this is this race last year, the IMSA Series, the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Absolute freaking cinema last year. This race had everything. This is where the whole what's his name? Connor DeFelipe. Yeah, I almost spaced that name there for a minute, how Mr. Irrelevant. But this was the race last year where he He absolutely just used and abused everybody. They had so much damage. You saw the proton get dumped at a certain point. You saw Candy run into everything but the freaking hot dog stand. I mean, then you had the Vassar Sullivan and then the Rexy machine and ended up making contact and the big drama there with the fenders coming off. Then you had Ford with their colossal failures, like not being able to finish a race, and then Corvette having their engine troubles. I mean, it was just a chaotic wild race. And then at the end, Albuquerque with the final stint there was able to kind of take control of the race and win and beat Porsche. But not this year. You know who's going to win this year? It's going to be Tandy to get absolute redemption after that flop of a race last year with him and Felipe Nasr both last year made themselves look like clowns. I think it all comes back to them this weekend. They've won every race but one. The one race they didn't win, their team car won, and they finished second to them. That was in the last round at Laguna Seca. I think that the number 7 goes back to victory lane this weekend with Nick Tandy and Felipe Nasr in the 7. And then my dark horse, I'm just going to go with the 85 JDC Miller team. Proton's not racing, which is absolutely devastating. It felt like they were finally starting to figure it out, run at the front of the field in IMSA. They've got the right package with the Porsche, and then they just step away. So what's the next best pick? I think that'd be JDC Miller. It'll be interesting to see how Aston Martin does, right? I think this is a race. If you remember at Laguna, right? Aston Martin was outrunning everybody but BMW and Porsche. They were outrunning Acura, they were outrunning Corvette or Cadillac, which was mind-boggling to even think that was even a possibility. This could be an interesting race, a lot different, right? This is a tight, compact course. I think there's gonna be a lot of attrition. I think there's gonna be a lot of drama. I think it's gonna be cinema just like last year, if I'm to predict. And I think watch out for the dang Aston Martins this weekend. I have a good feeling that number 23, Aston Martin, has a potential to get top 5 this weekend. Bold prediction, bold prediction. But I have a really good feeling about it, man. I think obviously the Porsches are going to be extremely fast, extremely dominant. This is the first time on a street course this year. Could be a little bit of a wild card here, especially if we see some drama or some contact early or throughout the race. 100-minute sprint race, anything can happen in the short races is always a weird one. Well, I guess second street race because we had Long Beach, but they were still fast at Long Beach. I feel like this one's a little bit more of a wild card than Long Beach. But we'll see. But watch out for Aston Martin this weekend. That's all I'm going to say. And then for GTD Pro, the second class racing this weekend, I'm going to take the number 4 Corvette purely because of Turbo Tommy Milner. Man, I just want to see him do good, especially kind of some redemption after last year. They qualified up front last year and didn't even get a chance to even start the race with the engine troubles they had. I think that Corvette's going to bounce back and have a lot more success this year. Obviously, Rex is going to be tough to beat. I think BMW is going to be tough to beat this year as well. It's going to be an interesting race, man. It's going to be an interesting race. I think, and then obviously Ford. Ford's really turned the leaf this year. I think that this track's going to be maybe a little bit more in their favor because you saw it at Daytona. They kind of struggled on the straight line stuff, but anything in the heavy braking zones or in the cornering, they were really good. They showed it again at Long Beach. Didn't get the win or the result maybe to show for it with the bad qualifying effort they had at Long Beach. But I think if they can qualify better, I think Ford will be a factor this weekend as well. But I'm going with the number 4 Corvette to win this weekend. And then my dark horse, I'm just going to stick with it, man. This outdated piece of crap car that Jack Hawksworth is just absolutely putting on his back. I'm going with the number 14 Vassy Sullivan car. Damn, they almost had Sebring, almost had it. Then they had a damn good run at Long Beach. It looked like they were going to finally climb themselves out of it, and then they fell back to earth again at Laguna Seca. I'm gonna go on the hindrance of maybe go back to what the Long Beach speed was. Maybe they find and rekindle that this weekend and find themselves a victory lane. Also, it'd be cool to see the number 15 with Parker Thompson and Monte Calvo in that sister car. They ran the 89 car at Long Beach in the GTD class. Now at the pro class at Detroit, running the team sister car, the number 15. So it'd be fun to see if they can maybe get the results that they deserve. All right, now for F1, the Spanish Grand Prix. I'm going with Oscar Piastri this weekend. I think he bounces back after a disappointing Monaco. He had so much trouble in qualifying. I think he tagged the wall once in the race, once in qualifying at the same spot in the entry to one. It didn't look like an Oscar Piastri that we've seen throughout the duration of this year. Really looked off. Something wasn't right there. I don't know if maybe the moment was too big, the pressure was too big. But I think he bounces back this weekend and gets the win, and outbests his teammate Lando Norris. And then my dark horse, I'm gonna go with Alex Albon. I think it's a matter of time before this guy finally scores podium position for Williams. Williams has been extremely fast. I feel like the result at Monaco doesn't reflect how good they were. Obviously, they were the first cars. Him and Sainz were the first two cars backed up behind Liam Lawson at Monaco and really put him behind the eight ball. Was never really able to capitalize or take advantage of the race. A lot of it had to do with the qualifying effort that they had, not being able to qualify as good as they wanted to. Um, I think that get back to more of a traditional style track. I think we're going to see those William cars once again back at the front of the field. All right, and then on Sunday as well, we have the Indy NXT, the Detroit Grand Prix. I know Dennis Hauger has been the best guy all season long. He has absolutely dominated Indy NXT. Lockheed Hughes got that one win at the split, the two races there at the Indy Road Course, which I think Dennis Hauger would have won both of them if he didn't have that lap one issue. Um, I think Lockheed Hughes, if you guys remember a few years ago, this is the race that put Louis Foster on the map with that incredible qualifying effort with the broken right front suspension, uh, put up a blistering lap time. I think Lockheed Hughes is going to have himself a Louis Foster-esque weekend from Detroit from 2 years ago and put himself on the map, fight back in this championship with his teammate Dennis Hauger. I'm going to take Lockheed Hughes this weekend to win the race. And then my dark horse, I'm going to go with Miles Rowe, man. Uh, Last year started off so strong, faded by the end of the year. I say it all the time. This year he's firing on all cylinders. He's running as good as he was at the beginning of last year. Let's see if he can keep up the momentum, see if he can keep it going. He's got some podiums so far this year. I think he is just bound to find himself in victory lane one of these races. Maybe it's this weekend at Detroit, which I think is a little bit of a wild card. We've seen it the last few years. Detroit is kind of turned into this big wild card event weekend for IMSA and IndyCar. You never know what's going to happen. We saw the drama in the IndyCar race last year. We saw the drama in the IMSA race last year, the last 2 years in both series. And then especially with Indy NXT having the drama we've seen in the past few years as well. I think that this could be one of those interesting races for the ages. All right, and then the IndyCar race, obviously the IndyCar Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. This will be on Sunday. Um, who should I take? Let's think about it. Singer Rob, Lucas, Tarantino Ferrucci. No, it's Hello Polo. Hello Polo is going to win this weekend. He's going to make it 6 out of 7, extend his points lead once again. Um, I'm excited to see it. He's just that guy. He's unstoppable right now. I think he's going to continue the momentum, continue the streak, and continue this dominant season. My dark horse, I'm going to go Felix Rosenquist once again. With like that relationship that Meyer Shank has this year with Chip Ganassi, I think it's moved mountains and changed the entire complexion of this team. The speed they have, we've seen it at every race so far this year. I think that speed continues. I think Rosenquist can be a threat for a podium this weekend, and shoot, maybe he can win this thing. Who knows? All right, and then the Cup Series, the Cracker Barrel 400, to round out this weekend's races. I'm going to take Ross Chastain. Like I said, won it 2 years ago at Nashville. Damn near won it last year before he got passed late by Hamlin, and then the 15,000 green white checker finishes at the end. I think Chastain is on a momentum high. I think Nashville is one of those tracks that Trackhouse has kind of put on their radar for the last few years. They've had really good runs here. I think that Ross Chastain is going to go back to back in the Cup Series this weekend. And then my dark horse, I'm going with José Carcevar. He's just an extremely good talent. I mean, it's a matter of time before he wins, and then I'm going to use up all my dark horse picks on him now before I can't use them anymore because he is going to win a race sooner than later. All right, and then for fantasy picks, I'm going to take Chastain, Larson, Hamlin, Priest, and José Carcevar. Matchups: Elliott versus Chastain. I'm take Chastain for obvious reasons. I think he wins the race. And then it's Blaney and Busher. I'm going to take Blaney. I know the inconsistency's been there and the finishing hasn't been there. But if I'm just going to pick raw speed at the moment, I would take 12 over the 17 based on raw speed and not factor in any possible issues for that 12 team this weekend. I take Ricky Bobby. Ricky Bobby would be a good pick. All right, and then the next matchup is Priest versus Zane Smith. I'm taking Priest. He's on an absolute streak this year, just rocking off top 10s like crazy. He's the best performing RFK car. That's an easy pick for me. And then the next one is an interesting one with Reddick, who was kind of becoming the new Hung Money. It seems like over the last few weeks here, making too many mistakes. But he's against Logano, who I didn't even mention it in the Cup Series race, but Penske was so off at Charlotte. I mean, they were terrible. Blaney was the best car, and he was struggling to even find himself up towards the top 10. So I don't know if that's going to translate to Nashville. I don't know if they tried an experimental setup and it just didn't work out. I don't know what happened to Penske this last weekend. And Logano just historically just has these slumps, and I feel like he's kind of in that slump right now. And this isn't a track that I feel like Penske's going to be good at. So I'll take Reddick over Logano here. All right, and then obviously, like I said, the watch party poll that is out on the channel now. Those races will be the 15th of June for the Cup Series race in Mexico City, the 15th for F1 at Canada, the 22nd for Road America for IndyCar, and the 22nd for the 6 hours of Watkins Glen for the IMSA series. And then, like I said, bonus watch parties for the 24-hour Le Mans. I don't exactly know how we're going to work that out yet. How we're gonna do the watch parties for that. Whether we do the beginning, the end, both the beginning, the end, maybe a middle stint. I don't know how we're going to plan that out yet, but we will keep you guys updated for that as well. That'll be the bonus watch party for the month of June. All right, guys, that'll do it for this podcast. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Started just a little bit later than I wanted to, is having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we made it happen. Um, Thank you guys so much. If you guys tuned in this weekend for the watch parties for Monaco, Indy, and Charlotte, we really appreciate it. We had a blast, a lot of fun, a great weekend of racing, just fantastic, unpredictable Indy 500, pretty decent Cup race for the most part. F1 Monaco, just typical Monaco, but just it was fun. It was thrilling. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed doing the watch party and hanging out with you guys. We had some people in the chat hanging out with us. Tim was in there as well. It was fun. Dallas joined us, which always brings some great content to the channel. So I love when Dallas is here. So that was a lot of fun. I had a great time. Thank you guys for joining us on Merry Motorsports Day. And now we got to wait another 360 something days to do it again, unfortunately. But that's all right. We'll get through it. We got some great races this weekend. We got some great races through the stretch of the summer, and then the championship battles as they start to wind down as we get into the fall. It's going to be fun. All right, if you guys want to support our channel, all of our social media links are in the description below. Make sure you guys go follow us over there to stay up to date to everything happening on this channel. Also, our link below to our Discord channel, where you could join the best racing community on the internet. All of the drama, rumor, news, memes of all motorsports from around the world right here on our Discord. Even post your own news, memes, rumors, and drama on our Discord. We love when you guys post and interact on there. It's really fun. Maybe you can meet a new friend or a new motorsports friend, or find an interesting motorsport that you want to cover or learn anything about. It's all right here on our Discord. Also, a link in the description below to our merch store, where you get yourself a hat just like this, a Big Daddy IMSA hat, or a Big Daddy NASCAR hat, or a t-shirt, or a sweater, or a bumper sticker to stick on your wife's car so she can be more mad at you, or even a coffee mug when you're enjoying your nice cup of coffee in the morning. All of those proceeds continue to help us make bigger and better content for you guys right here on YouTube. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in this weekend and to today's 1000th episode or video on the channel, a big milestone for us. And here's to another 1000 videos being made over the course of this channel's existence. Hell yeah, the last year with the triple header. Exactly. The last year with the triple header for Merry Motorsports Day. It's sad, but understandable. But we'll still get Indy every year. We'll still get the World 600. We'll still have some fun with Merry Motorsports Day to that extent. All right, guys. Again, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one. Have a great rest of your week.